Good afternoon, and welcome to our What's Buzzin at Georgia Tech webinar series. My name is Tyler Barker, coordinator within the Office of Parent and Family Programs. I apologize for my lack of video today. I'm having some technical difficulties with my feedback. However, we are here. We're excited to be joined today by two very special colleagues from the Office of International Education. Today, we're going to be talking about going global at Georgia Tech, studying abroad, and what that means for your student and the potential opportunities of that. If you have any questions for our two guest colleagues here today, please feel free to utilize the Q&A chat feature. We already see that somebody has already utilized the Q&A feature, so please feel free to keep those questions rolling in throughout the presentation. We'll be sure to get to those after the presentation. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Ashlee and Cassy, so they can introduce themselves.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashlee Toomey-Flinn. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Education Abroad Scholarships Advisor and Marketing Specialist. And I will let my colleague introduce herself.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Cassy McInnis. I am the Education Abroad Advisor, and I work with exchange programs in Latin America and Europe.
We'll go ahead and get started.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ashlee. I was just going to mention that I'll be monitoring the chat or the Q&A, and we'll try to get some as we go, but we'll definitely have time at the end for questions as well. Back to you, Ashlee.
Awesome. So today we're here to talk about international opportunities with Georgia Tech, and we're going to be going over study abroad and some myths that our students often think but are not entirely true. We'll also go over the global research and internship program, the international plan, some of our living learning communities, and ways to keep up with our office. But first and foremost, we want to make sure that you know, as parents of students who will probably be coming here or parents of students who are here, what the eligibility requirements are. In general, most students must be at least 18 years old by the time that they study abroad on their program. That means that they can apply for a study abroad program or an internship program when they are 17, but they need to be 18 by the time that they step on their flight to go abroad. That's really important. They need to be a full-time degree-seeking student at Tech, and they need to have completed 2 semesters of college-level degree-seeking study for most programs. There are some programs that are a bit different. We have some new programs that are coming online where students can study abroad their first semester. We are still developing those programs, and we'll be sure to leave an email in the chat where you can email that program if you have specific. Students also need to be in good academic and disciplinary standing because we want them to be successful at Georgia Tech before we send them out into the wider world. And we do need to note that some programs do have GPA requirements. And when students get to Tech, they get a lot of information and a lot of input from other folks. And sometimes they get a little bit confused as to what they can and cannot do with study abroad and international opportunities. So we want to make sure and bust some of those myths from the very start. One of the first myths that we often hear from students is that I can't earn credit for my Georgia Tech degree on a study abroad program. And that's false. So all Georgia Tech undergraduates can earn credit towards their Georgia Tech degree on a study abroad program. So that includes study abroad on a faculty-led study abroad program and study abroad on an exchange. And in fact, they earn in residence credit. And most people think that this is a place where you live, but it's actually a type of credit. So when students study abroad, they earn in residence credit on our faculty-led programs and on our exchanges. And this is important because whenever they get into their older years at Georgia Tech, so when they're 3rd or 4th year and they're approaching the end of their time at Tech, they're going to hear about some 36-hour rule. The 36-hour rule says that students must take their last 36 hours as in residence credit. So remember, whenever students study abroad on one of our programs, they earn in residence credit. So once they're eligible to go, or once they're fully able to study abroad, they've met the eligibility requirements, they're able to go all the way through the last semester that they're here at Georgia Tech. Now, COVID-19 has shown us that things can be can throw us a curveball, and so we encourage students to apply early and to think about study abroad and global internships earlier in their career so they can make sure that they build in time for that and also adjust in the case of a global pandemic. So whenever you study abroad, like I said, you earn Georgia Tech credit towards your Georgia Tech degree. You can study abroad during a fall, spring, summer, or for a full academic year. Students can go on a program that's with a group of students, so Georgia Tech students, Georgia Tech faculty studying in a foreign location, or they can go on an exchange or study abroad on an exchange. We also want to note that most programs are going to charge the in-state tuition rate. We have a few exceptions to this. So our Georgia Tech Lorraine campus is one of those exceptions where students will pay the in-state tuition rate plus an out-of-state fee if they're an out-of-state student. Currently, that fee is about $6,315, so you really want to know about that before so you don't want to be surprised by that. So just please keep that in mind. And so like I said, we have two basic types of programs. We have faculty-led study abroad programs where students travel abroad with other Georgia Tech students and faculty. There's coursework in a variety of majors with these programs. So we have about 30 different programs in a regular year. And so these can be like general programs like the Georgia Tech Lorraine campus or Oxford program, or they can be really specific. So like studying language, business, and technology in Puerto Rico or Spain or Mexico, or studying aerospace engineering in Limerick, Ireland. There's kind of a range of these programs, and I'll show you in just a little bit how you can find more information on that. As I was saying before, students will pay the in-state tuition rate on most of these programs, and once again, the Georgia Tech Lorraine campus is an exception to this, where they charge out-of-state students an out-of-state fee, and that is noted on our websites. These programs are mostly summer programs, although we do have a fall program for the College of Sciences, and we also have a spring program for the College of Sciences. And so the deadlines vary, and I'll show you in just a second where you can find those deadlines really quick. We also have exchanges abroad. These are the programs that my colleague Cassy, who's answering questions in the chat, she works with these programs in Europe and Scandinavia and Europe and Scandinavia. That's it. Sorry. And Ireland. Thank you. And these programs, when students study abroad on them, they do satisfy degree requirements. Most of the exchanges charge the in-state. And we have about 70 different partner institutions all across. We have exchanges in Latin America, the Middle East, Europe, Scandinavia, kind of everywhere that our students want to go. And typically these happen during the fall, spring, or for a full academic year. And we really want students to know about these ahead of time because the deadlines fall pretty early in an academic semester. So for instance, if your student was wanting to study abroad in the fall of 2022, their deadline is going to be February 1st. So that's right after they get back from the winter holidays and stuff like that. So let me show you how you can find more information about these programs. So if you go to our website, which is atlas.godtech.edu, you're going to find our application portal. And on this homepage, you can see a number of different things. You can see that students can apply for scholarships right here on the homepage, or you can look for programs. And so you can, if you know which program you're looking for, you can go ahead and type that in here and search for it, or you can do an advanced search and students can find countries based on a couple of different filters. So you can look by country, you can also look for the time of year that students want to be abroad, or you can look by the student's discipline. So I'm going to choose aerospace because it's one of our popular majors and a really good example. And so when you do a search, it filters all the places where students could go and earn aerospace engineering credit while studying abroad. So I want to open a faculty-led program, and I also want to open an exchange program so you can kind of see what they look like. So this first program is the Berlin Summer Program. It's run by the College of Computing. And on the front page, you can see where the program travels to, when the dates and deadlines are. So if students are interested in this program, they want to apply pretty quickly. The deadline is November the 15th. And they'll find out if they're accepted to the program by February the 5th. On the Program and Course Information tab, you can see the courses that they plan to offer for summer of 2022. You can see how many credit hours they're getting. So they're getting 12 credit hours on this program. You can also see that the course is taught in English and that they're going to be abroad for 11 weeks for about 2.5 months over the summer. You can also see the program's financial information. And so just remember, you're paying the in-state tuition rate. And so when we build a budget for study abroad, we're building a budget to include everything that they would need to be successful in Atlanta for whenever they're abroad. That includes your tuition, any fees. It also includes housing and stuff like that. It also includes out-of-pocket expenses and airfare. And if you're like, well, where's the housing? It's in the program charge over here on the bottom left. So that includes housing costs, local transportation, field trips, etc. And to give you a point of comparison, when a second-year student who's an in-residence student or resident of Georgia comes to Georgia Tech, their average cost of tuition and fees is about $15,949. So to go on this program, to study abroad for about 2.5 months over the summer, get a full 12 credit hours, they're paying slightly more than what a normal student would pay to study at Georgia. Remember that your scholarships, grants, and loans are also going to go with you. So that includes Hope and Zell Miller. It can include the Stance Presidential, Tech Promise if students study abroad during a fall or spring semester, student loans, and also Pell Grants. So really good information here. And if you're like, well, this sounds great, how do I sign up? You can go to the apply button here. But if you're like, well, wait, I want to know what the cancellation policy is, then you just scroll down to the bottom and the cancellation policy is here. So that's a faculty-led study abroad program. If you're interested in an exchange program, which is one of the best ways to study abroad, in my humble opinion, you can go on programs like the UC3M exchange. This one is in Spain. You can see where it's located. There isn't an application cycle active right now. They're considering applications for the spring of 2022, but the fall application is going to open very soon. On the information sheet, you can see how many credit hours they're going to earn. Because students study abroad during a fall or spring, they have to earn a minimum of 12 credit hours. This course is going to, or the program is going to be taught mostly in English, although students could take classes in Spanish if they wanted to, and they're going to be abroad for 17 weeks. To give you a point of reference, a regular Georgia Tech semester is about 15 to 16. So they're actually abroad a little bit longer on this program. Also, we have a cost sheet built out for this as well. And so this sheet looks a little bit different, but it includes all the same information. Tuition, it includes fees, but it also has the other information broken out here. So room and board, airfare, and stuff. So we have the same information. So that's all listed here. And if you want to find scholarships, you can also either go to the home page of Atlas over here on the left. You can apply for study abroad scholarships here, or you can also find the scholarships on our website on our scholarship database. Cool. So I'm going to transition back to the presentation and talk about the second myth. So the second myth says that I can't leave campus because of the 36-hour rule. And so I've already kind of debunked this one a little bit, but just remember, students can earn in-residence credit whenever they study abroad. That's what they earn in general whenever they study abroad. So once they're eligible to go abroad, they're eligible to go abroad all the way through their last semester here at Georgia Tech. We do encourage students to plan ahead and plan early. The third myth is that I won't graduate on time. And remember, because students do earn that in-residence credit and that credit satisfies their major and elective requirements, study abroad shouldn't delay graduation. As long as students are planning ahead of time and building this time into their schedule, they should be able to graduate in 4 years as they were planning to do so. The fourth myth, I can't go abroad because I don't speak another language. While we think that language skills are awesome and we really want students to learn a different language, it makes them, I think, a better rounded person. No surprise that I studied German. But there are a lot of programs that are out there that they don't have to speak another language in order to study abroad. So about 83% of our programs are actually taught in English. So if a student wants to study a language, they can go on an LBAT, they can go on different exchanges, but the majority of our programs are actually taught in English. The last myth is the big myth, and it's an important myth to me because I'm the scholarships advisor, is the myth that I can't. So in fact, over half of the study abroad programs cost the same or less than a semester here in Atlanta. So as I showed you with the Berlin summer program and with our exchange in Spain, the UC3M exchange, those are fairly comparable to what it costs to go to Georgia Tech. And just remember that your scholarships, grants, and loans are also going to travel with you whenever, or travel with students. So financial considerations, remember that students are going to pay the in-state tuition rate. We do have a couple exceptions for this, and that big exception is our Georgia Tech Lorraine campus, where they have to charge an out-of-state fee because we maintain a full campus in Metz, France. But also remember that scholarships, grants, and loans like Hope and Zell Miller, Stamps and Presidential Scholarships, Tech Promise, etc., are going to travel with students whenever they study abroad. And there are also additional outside study abroad scholarships available. These are some of the examples of the scholarships that are available to students. The top section, the OIE administered scholarships, are actually run through our office. And we administer about 9 9 to 10 different scholarships that students can apply for, and they apply for all the scholarships that they're eligible for with one application. The average award amount is about $2,500, and these are competitive awards, so students aren't guaranteed a scholarship, but we have multiple application cycles so that students can put their best foot forward as much as. There are also campus scholarships where students can apply to go or apply for study abroad scholarships based on location, based on major, and sometimes based on programs. So if your student was thinking that they wanted to go study in Germany, because Germany's a real cool place, we have some scholarships specifically for students to go and study in German. And it's even better if they speak the German language. And so students can start a language here at Georgia Tech and then be able to study abroad in it later as well. If your student is an architecture design major, a business administration major, or a civil or environmental engineering major, there are scholarships for those students to be able to study abroad. So if you were ever thinking that you need to switch majors, I encourage you to look at civil or environmental engineering, because that school has enough funding to help most of their students have an internet. And then finally, there are some program-specific scholarships for like the programs, like the Leadership for Social Good program, and there's another word there for you. And then lastly, there are national scholarships. So the Gilman Scholarship is a scholarship that goes for all study abroad programs, but students who have or who get a Pell Grant are eligible for that program. If you don't get a Pell Grant, then you're not eligible. Or if you wanted to study a critical need language like Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Russian, Swahili, Portuguese, Urdu, then there are some scholarships to help you do that as well. And if your student has questions, they can always come to me and talk to me. Now we're going to talk about the Global Research and Internship Program. This is one of my favorite programs here at Georgia Tech because it takes everything that a student has been doing in their life so far and puts it to the test. So that includes their social skills, their academic skills, and their professional skills. Because students are able to work abroad. They're able to work in industry, startup, nonprofit, and governmental settings. About 75% of the internships that our students find are paid, and they're paid at like the local cost of living, so maybe not a Google salary, but we do have students that intern for Google and make more than me. So there are options out there for them. Most students will do a global research and internship placement during their 3rd, 4th, or 5th year, just simply because that's when they're most competitive. That's when they've already done things like study abroad or undergraduate research or domestic internships. To where they're more competitive against other students and other people who are applying for those same positions. Also, the Global Research and Internship Program is going to allow them to maintain their full-time academic status while they are doing their internship. So if your student is an international student, that maintains their immigration status while they're out of the country doing their internship. And also, this program can be combined with other high-impact practices like the co-op program, study abroad, and the international. So if your student is doing a co-op where they kind of alternate semesters where they're studying at Georgia Tech and then doing a domestic internship, what they can do is do their first two co-op terms domestically and then do their 3rd co-op term internationally. So if a student was working for a company like Porsche, they could do their first 2 internship periods here in Atlanta and then do their 3rd co-op term abroad in Germany. Yeah, I like Germany. You can also sometimes do some exchanges where like you do your fall semester in a place like Germany and then do your 2nd semester interning in the same country. So we have that with like the TUM prep and a couple other options. Yeah, awesome opportunities with the Global Research and What's also exciting is that we have a new program coming up this summer. This summer will be the first cohort of our summer internship cohort, where 1st and 2nd years students can intern abroad and earn credit for their time abroad over the summer. Students can intern in Ireland or Belgium, and the costs are posted on our website. And the internship program lasts about 10 weeks, so what is that, 2.5 months-ish. So this is a great opportunity, especially for those 1st and 2nd year students who are building their resume and stuff like that. We also have other ways for students to go global, so students can definitely study abroad, they can do an internship, but if they're interested in doing like international service learning, Engineers Without Borders, doing an international conference, they can register those activities with our office, and we'll make sure that they get the insurance that they need and also provide them a little bit of support while they're on their program. And we have the international plan. This is also a favorite of mine. I love this program because it's basically like an honors program for study abroad. What I mean by that is that it's a degree designator, so it goes on a student's transcript and on their diploma. And like any program, it has requirements, and the requirements are that students take 3 globally focused courses and a senior capstone within their major. We currently have 28 participating majors in the international plan, and so these 3 courses in the senior capstone are typically courses that they would be taking as part of their major anyways. So it would be like, instead of them taking just economics, they would take global economics and kind of be able to double dip that credit a little bit. Students would also study or intern abroad for 26 weeks, so that's 6 months. And they can do a summer semester abroad and then a regular semester, or they could intern for a full academic year, or they could study abroad and intern. There are lots of combinations for them to satisfy this particular requirement. They'll also demonstrate proficiency in a foreign language. So if your student has been studying Spanish since middle school, that's awesome. They can basically test out of that requirement. Or if they're really interested in studying a new language, they could also start taking one of the languages that we teach here at Georgia Tech, which are also critical need languages, so like Chinese, Japanese, Korean, French, and Swahili, sorry. We did start Portuguese, though. So they could potentially start a new language, and then once they are to the 2000 level, which is usually during their junior year, they could go and study abroad in that language as well. And as part of this, they're going to develop intercultural skills and a global perspective of their major. And the really exciting part for me, which is maybe not as exciting as the coursework and the stuff that goes into it, is that whenever students graduate with the international plan, they get to wear a stole at graduation. Now, this stole is made out of the flag of the country that they spent the most time in. So, for instance, I had a student who got the Buzzin scholarship to be able to go and study critical need languages. So he went to he went to Kazakhstan to study Russian the entire year. And so his stole at graduation was, which is really cool and really stands out among all of the graduates who are walking across this. So it's a really great opportunity. It doesn't cost anything extra to join. There's only costs associated whenever students go abroad. All undergraduate students are eligible, well, most undergraduate students are eligible to do this. They have to be in a participating major. And first-year students have their GPA requirement waived because they don't have a GPA for the first semester that they're here. And then, it's a really great experience. So our student, Eric, had a really great experience. He said the international plan provided a global angle to my experience. It helped connect my study and work abroad back to my studies and domestic experiences. They're really great experiences that our students have had. We also have the opportunity for students to be a part of our on-campus internationalization initiatives, and we have a couple of these. And so we have a couple of living learning communities. We have the Global Leadership Living Learning Community that's open to first-year students who are coming into tech. We also have iHouse. So for the Global Leadership LLC, it's focused on the United Nations 2017 Sustainable Development Goals. So they have one required course per semester, and then it's just, they live in the community, and it's their normal housing fees plus a $400 fee for each semester. Now this $400 fee goes directly back into their living learning community, and they do really cool stuff with that. So I think they just went and toured the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and looked at all the different ways that is a sustainable building. It's a LEED certified building. So they got to walk around and see the kind of the ins and outs of Mercedes-Benz. And they also go to Atlanta United games, and they do different things throughout the semester to build community, but also to learn about the different initiatives. We also have the iHouse, which is the international house. And what I really like about this community is that it's made up 50% Georgia Tech degree-seeking students and 50% incoming students. Notice that I said study abroad through exchange earlier. And why I said that is that we have exchange partners all across the world. We have about 70 of them. And so when a Georgia Tech student goes to one of those exchanges, they pay their Georgia Tech tuition and fees here at Georgia Tech. They go to a place like Spain. And then the Spanish student or their equivalent pays their tuition and fees in Spain and comes to Georgia Tech in their place. They're literally exchanging spots. And so in iHouse, you get to live with people who are from all over the world. And what's great is that you may meet somebody from Singapore, and you get to know them, you get to show them around Atlanta, have great experiences, and then if you study abroad in Singapore, then that student already has a connection on the ground for whenever they get to Singapore. So it's a really great and exciting opportunity to get to know different cultures by just living in the same area and doing different things. So this living learning community is open to Georgia Tech students after their first year. And they'll just pay their normal housing fees and then a $200 fee per semester. And once again, that fee goes directly back into the International House programming efforts so that they can go and do really cool things. So like in this picture, they're doing a civil rights bike tour and getting to see all the different historically impactful civil rights areas of Atlanta. So great opportunity here. We also have the Iceberg Workshop series, which allows students to have some intercultural training before they ever leave campus. So they're going to develop intercultural competence and communication skills. They also earn a blockchain credential, so that can go on their LinkedIn profile to show that they've developed these competencies. And all they need to do is attend 3 workshops during the fall semester, and it's open to all undergraduates. It doesn't cost anything extra, and it's a really great opportunity to learn and to develop these skills and to get to know how to work in diverse teams and stuff like that. So really great opportunity. And so each fall we have a lot of events. We're approaching the end of the semester, so we have fewer events listed here. But we regularly have how to afford study abroad information sessions so that we can talk with students and help students find affordable options for them. We also have International Education Week, which is a great opportunity for your student to learn about different aspects of how Georgia Tech is an international campus. Our scholarship deadline, like I said, is February the 15th, and our general program deadline. So each program has their own deadline, and you can find that on Atlas. But in general, the program deadline is February the 15th. So I want to pause here and see if there are any questions that we can stop and answer.
Ashlee, I've been responding to a lot of them so far, and so I've had some questions about Monday funds, and I've provided links, several questions about Georgia Tech Lorraine, things like that. So I've been able to provide links, I think. So if you haven't had your question answered by the links I've provided, let me know. But a couple that I haven't gotten to yet, one is asking about the out-of-state tuition rate and why there's an additional fee for Georgia Tech Lorraine for out-of-state students. So could you go into a little bit more detail about that and maybe how it compares to a regular out-of-state Atlanta campus semester in terms of tuition?
Sure. So for our out-of-state students, we used to have an out-of-state fee for all of our programs, and that has recently changed stuff. And right now, the reason we have the out-of-state fee for Georgia Tech Lorraine campus is because we maintain a full campus there. So it maintains buildings and stuff like that. So unfortunately, like that cost is shared with our students, and so that's why there's an out-of-state fee for those for that campus. And it is still less than the Georgia Tech out-of-state tuition rate, although it will eventually end up being the same as the Georgia Tech out-of-state tuition in the future. That's just to match Georgia Tech and to mirror that, and also that campus.
Thank you for that, Ashlee. Another question that I hadn't gotten to yet, someone asked, can parents make an appointment with the study abroad office? If so, how can we do that?
Sure. So you can make an appointment with the study abroad office. We have our virtual appointment link on our website. We do encourage you to bring your student with us so that we make sure that everybody is in the loop. We would also ask that we get permission from your student to speak with you about their study abroad experience and all. So that's why we would prefer for the student to be there and all. But there's also just a ton of information on our website where you can find, about information about the program and stuff like that. And if your student is going on a program, I can also guarantee that they're getting a lot of information from their program director, from their exchange advisor, from whomever. And so sometimes it's also just, asking them to share that information. Cassy, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't think so. Generally, for advising, if a parent does request an advising appointment, we're happy to meet with you. But like Ashlee said, we do request that the student be present just so that we can ensure that all information is being shared across the board. And that, we're able to answer questions both from the parent and student perspective, but that is absolutely something we're happy to do. In fact, a lot of our advising is still virtual, and so the students have access to our advising link, and so the advising, the meeting that we send out, the link can be shared with parents as needed. It looks like we got a new question. What programs would we recommend for LMC majors?
Sure. I'm actually going to take us back to the application portal really quickly. So if you go to our application portal atlas and go to programs and advanced search, find them here. And so this is going to pull up all the places where students can go and earn LMC credit while studying abroad. I know Cassy has some great exchanges at like the Malmo exchange in Switzerland, Sweden, my goodness. This is a great program. I've heard some great things. Also, I've heard that our students dog sledding in Sweden, which I think sounds fantastic. What I also like about it, this is the year cost. Is that it's pretty comparable to studying in Atlanta. It's actually a little bit cheaper than studying in Atlanta for a semester. This would, of course, be this would be an academic year or spring semester option for students. And the reason it's academic year and spring semester is that the Swedish fall semester probably overlaps with our spring semester, which means that students couldn't just study there for the fall because they would miss starting at Georgia Tech on time for the spring. Is that correct, Cassy?
Yes, that is correct. If you see on this program dates section of our website that there is not a fall option, that simply means that the academic calendar does not line up well enough to offer a fall only option, usually meaning that their students take exams in January or even February. And so if that is the case, we don't even have it as an option. Another program, just to piggyback off of Ashlee, that works very similarly to Malmo is I2 Copenhagen. These are really set up for CM and LMC students with that kind of computational media thread requirement in common. And so students are usually LMC or CM students who participate on these. And those are just a couple in Europe. A third one that is also an option would be UC3M in Spain, which Ashlee has referred to a few times in this session. Again, I'm the advisor for Europe, and so those are the three that I am well aware of in terms of exchange, but I'm sure there are others, outside of Europe and Australia, New Zealand, things like that, if students are looking for an English option, for example. But this advanced search option within our portal really is the best way to set several parameters based on major, based on region, based on semester, to figure out options for students. So thank you for showing that, Ashlee.
I think it looks like LMC students can also get a GTL. They could probably also do programs like Oxford and Pacific and stuff like that, like the Pacific program is listed here. It's just making sure that, students have the option to take some of their general requirements on those programs and stuff like that. So those are the best options. Are there other questions that we can answer, Cassy?
Yes, one sec. Sorry, I was trying to type and I got behind. Some of the programs on Atlas say that they are not accepting applications. Is this because of COVID or timing of the year?
Sometimes it's timing of the year and all. So if we go to the list all function, there are some programs like this Argentina summer program in affairs and business, and I believe this. So some of the programs will say things like this program only runs in odd years, and so what that means is either like COVID sometimes shuts down programs and stuff like that, but sometimes programs also offer like programs only during the odd years or the even years, because usually in the case of this program, Dr. Kirk Bowman is the Argentina summer program in the even years, and then the Portugal and Lisbon, or the Spain and Portugal program in international affairs and business in the odd years. So he kind of goes back and forth. And so that offers students the chance to take advantage of these programs throughout their time here at Georgia Tech. So that's usually what is happening in those situations, or it could be COVID in some instances. But for the most part, I think we're getting back on track to operating at more normal capacity and stuff. COVID is still a factor in our consideration right now, and so we're trying to make alternate plans, and if and when we have to adjust, I feel like we're kind of coming out of that a little bit, but we will always try to update students through their program directors if and when there are changes, and also through their exchange.
Yeah, and I'll also add from the exchange perspective, our application for fall and academic year just hasn't opened yet. It should open in the next couple of weeks. And so if you go to any exchange program that has an option for fall or academic year at this moment, it'll say application or not accepting applications. And that's just because of timing. It hasn't opened yet. So two questions that I'll combine. One is, when will students be notified about their summer applications to GTL? And then the second part of that question is for Oxford. When will students who've applied to Oxford be notified?
So from what I understand, students for most of our faculty-led programs will know within 2 to 3 weeks of their application if they've been accepted, or like when they've been accepted to the program. There are some programs that, like the Berlin Summer Program I showed you a little bit earlier, they are notifying students on a specific timeline and stuff. And I know that Georgia Tech Lorraine in particular is notifying students as quickly as they can. There have been some application changes and stuff like that they are working through. And so if you have questions specifically about those programs, what I would recommend doing is reaching out to the program directors themselves and asking that question so that you can get the information straight from the horse's mouth. So when you go to the GTL page, you have the information on how to contact them right here on the bottom, and I would ask them that. And you can do the same thing for the Oxford program. And I do think the Oxford program is on a 2 to 3 week notification cycle after students have fully completed their application. But if you have specific questions, then I would reach out to our colleague, Andrea Henriquez. Also, while I have you here, I want to give a shameless plug for our Global Research and Internship Program and show you some of the resources that they have available on our website. So this is the website. You can find information. We just had an expo, and on that expo, we had a number of sessions where you can go and view the recording. So like if a student is specifically interested in interning in Germany, I promise I'll stop talking about it in a little bit, but we have a lot of German resources. So they can go and view the recording of the information session and get some really specific information on those opportunities. Or they can look for the most recent job postings and sign up for our newsletter. They can also make appointments directly from our page. And you can do this for most of our study abroad programs. But if a student is looking for an internship and trying to find out more resources, one of the best places to start is our internship database, where students can go and search through this database by their major to see what opportunities past students have had. And so I'm going to stick with aerospace because it's at the top of the list, and also right here to give you an example. But you can see, where students have interned. So the student interned for Aerospace Systems Design Lab. They were in France. They were a doctorate whenever they did that. So students from first year all the way through their last year at Georgia Tech, whether that's postdoc or doc, doctorate, can do an internship. You can also see the industry, whether it was research or nonprofit or private or government, and then also if that was paid. So sometimes, you can see where or how students got information and stuff like that. You can also do the same thing for our research database. You can see where students found different research opportunities, or you can also look at the search engines to see, if your student is looking to intern in Europe, depending on where they want to be, there's a search engine available for that. They can also look through Going Global. This one is hidden right now because students have to log in with their Georgia Tech credentials. But once they get into the database and everything, they can search for job postings, but they can also search for how to tailor their resume or their cover letter or their CV for a specific location. So if they're going to Germany, then they can see how to tailor their resume for Germany or their CV. They can also see what the professional culture favors or, what it's like in a specific country and stuff like that. So it's a really helpful resource for when students are looking for those internships. Are there other questions, Cassy?
Yeah, I was just working on one about the film minor, and so I'll just jump right into what I was about to include, and then I'll definitely give you the opportunity to add. The film minor, from what I understand, is under the LMC department, so it's the Film and Media Studies minor. And so from an exchange perspective, usually if a student has a minor in a subject that we offer at one of our, or that the host school offers at one of our partner universities, they could typically study those minor courses at the host school. So for example, I'll use UC3M that we've used a bunch of times. They have a film and media studies major there as well. And so someone who might be a film minor at Georgia Tech could also go to that school and take courses in the film and media department to transfer back toward their minor. So it definitely depends on school and type of program, but that's one example that I know off the top of my head that would work for an LMC or film and media studies minor. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Ashlee?
Not for film and media studies. What I would say is that if your student is minoring in something, from what I understand, they can still study abroad and complete their minor requirements while they're abroad as well. So I think you would just, meet with an exchange advisor or meet with your program and stuff like that, and pursue the same strategy you would as like a major requirement.
Thank you. I think there was another question in the chat. Let me see if I missed it. Okay, we answered the question about Georgia Tech Lorraine. And then there's just a general question about, can you please share about abroad programs for second and third year students?
Sure. So that's kind of involves most of our programs, honestly. So we have students who will study abroad in the summer of their first year that they're here. And that could be programs like the Offshore Program, GTL, or Georgia Tech Lorraine, or like the Pacific Program. But from there on, once students are eligible to study abroad, they can study abroad all the way through the last semester that they're here. So we don't have programs that are specifically earmarked just for second or third year students. We do have some, I just contradicted myself. We do have the GRIP Global Internship Cohort Program, which is geared for mostly first and second year students. There are some faculty-led study abroad programs like the BME Galway program and the ISYE Asia program that are more for older students time here, but those are a handful of programs that are highly specified for students who are going during a certain time. The rest of our programs are kind of a range of things. If students would just want to look at the options that are available to them, look at what classes they need to take, where they want to be, and meet with an exchange advisor or a study abroad advisor, what options and what programs will work best for them. So I don't mean to say that or to cop out on that answer and everything, but for the most part, our second and third year students are kind of our bread and butter. We want them to look at the programs that are out there and ask us questions so that we can help them get into the program that fits best for them. And that's kind of a personal decision, whether based off of classes, based off of their personal and professional interests and stuff like that. So, Cassy, do you want to add anything to that?
Not really. I'll just reiterate that, again, most of the exchange programs that exist are geared towards second and third year students. I have some in Europe that are better for third years than second years, but I have plenty of options as well for second years. So it really just depends on the needs of the student, their area of interest, and their country of interest. And so that's something as advisors we can definitely discuss a little bit more in depth with students. We're happy to do that. they have questions. Next question is, when is the deadline for spring 2023 for DTL? And I actually just added this on another question. I believe it is April 1st. That's when it was for spring 2022, and those typically don't change year to year, at least not much. So you can expect a very similar deadline for DTL. And I'm happy to provide that link. I think I actually might still have it up. I have it up already, Ashlee.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. Sorry, I'm peeking behind my camera to see what I'm doing. I think we got a couple more questions pop up. We've had a couple of requests for the PowerPoint to be posted online or sent via email. We're recording this presentation, and so that will be up and available tomorrow. I believe I saw Lacey respond. I don't necessarily have a problem sharing the PowerPoint, Ashlee, if that's something that Lacey and Tyler could distribute. I think that's fine. So no problem there.
Yeah, I can send it out. I just put my email address in for anybody who wants to email me. I will send it to you directly, but we also are recording it and we will post it tomorrow on our website. And I'll post that link where it will be in just a second.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see. One more question is, if the student is doing exchange in spring 2022, how do you think you should tackle housing for fall? So if a student, I'll just jump right in, Ashlee, if that's okay.
Yeah.
A student who's going on exchange for spring 2022 has the option to apply for fall housing at Georgia Tech. You know, they don't have to be, you know, in Atlanta, obviously, to apply for housing at Georgia Tech. So they'll just go through the GT housing application as they would for any other year. Of course, applying by any deadlines that housing may have. And then, of course, students always have the option to seek off-campus housing. It is, so if I'm thinking about it, if a student is, for example, on campus this fall, right now, fall 2021, and they're going on exchange for spring 2022, then we have a cancellation form, and study abroad is a pre-approved reason to cancel housing on campus. If they have off-campus housing, then they'll need to work with their landlord or apartment complex to either sublet or go through the motions of canceling any type of lease. And then for the following fall, when a student's back on campus, they just go through the regular application, which is kind of what I was alluding to first. Sorry, I got the semesters mixed in my head. But yeah, so if a student is currently on campus and going on a spring 2022 exchange program, they can cancel their housing with the housing application for cancellation. We have advised students, just to give you a little bit more insight, to keep housing in place for now. Just because there is some level of uncertainty due to COVID. We feel pretty good so far. COVID levels are down in most of the countries that we're sending students, and they have protocol in place for entry, you know, negative COVID tests and things like that. So we're doing it as a precaution, and we've, you know, given that message to students and given them a deadline by which to cancel with housing. So any questions, they can definitely contact us, and we will give them more insight and guidance. I think I saw one, Ashlee, really quickly, that is a suggestion from someone. So it reads, this is a suggestion unless it is already set up like this. Would it be possible to add the study abroad opportunities in the catalog? I'm trying to convince my student. He seems to be overwhelmed with his academics and cannot find time to do all the research needed or an advising appointment.
That is a great suggestion, and we will definitely bring that up to our leadership and stuff. But one of the things I would also encourage your student to do is to look at study abroad options during the breaks whenever they're not trying to study for finals and get projects out and stuff like that. We still work during the breaks, both during summer and also during the winter holidays. So we're happy to work with students during that time as well. I know that they're probably exhausted. We are also a little exhausted, but we are also still very happy to help students think through their options in those times when they have a little bit more brain space and time to look through program options specifically. But that is a really good idea. We'll definitely talk to our leadership about that.
Right, new question. What is the best time frame for the summer BME Galway program, between second and third or between third and fourth?
I think students can do it either. It just kind of depends on the classes that are offered or that students need to take. Look at that specifically. So for many of our study abroad programs, especially like the BME Galway program, they tend to offer the same types of classes each summer. And so depending on like what your student needs and everything, you know, they can either hold these classes to either take them the third year, the summer of their third year, or the summer of their fourth year, just kind of depending on what is coming up. But you can kind of look back through this list and see that they kind of mirror what has happened before and stuff. So I would recommend that they talk with their academic advisor, talk with the BME program director, which I think is Dr. Binkester, sorry. So talk to them about it, and they can give the best information about which summer is best in conjunction with making sure that students haven't taken these classes already. And these are always updated each October to November. So if that helps to help students get on the right time. But looks like we are approaching the end of our time together, and so we just want to say thank you. These are our websites, and I know Cassy's been dropping links and stuff like that in the chat. We are in the Savant building here on campus, real close to Tech Tower, and so if you have questions, we are always happy to answer those as soon as possible. We'd like to say thank you so much for your time and attention. And before I forget, did we have any questions that we didn't get to?
There's just one that this person posted it earlier about COVID restrictions, and are the students placed in single room, double rooms, or group rooms? And I'm guessing that depends on their study abroad, you know, where they go and what their housing situation is.
Yes, it will definitely depend and everything. So for, you know, individual programs, they'll want to check with their program director to see what the protocol is. And then for exchange, the options vary from whether students live in private apartments, residence halls, or something like that. So unfortunately, the answer is it just depends. And I know that some places are asking students to quarantine and stuff, but we are trying to keep our students as updated as possible. Cassy, do you want to add anything to that?
From the exchange perspective, I mean, most of my students who are abroad right now in Europe did not have to quarantine. And so for exchange, it is a bit different in that they have the flexibility and option to live either on campus in most cases if the school offers it, or off campus in an apartment. And so most of my students, just for budgetary reasons, do live with other students or with a host family. And so, again, it really does vary by program.
I know some of our students who went to like South Korea, they did have a quarantine period and stuff, and I think that students quarantined alone, from what I understand, but it just depends.
Yeah, for Europe, there wasn't a hard quarantine for most countries, so definitely depends on country, depends on program. And we do have one last question that we didn't get to, and it's about the Best Lyon program. If a student wants an additional class that's not listed on the course listing or course offer, can they enroll in it?
I think that they would probably want to get in touch with Dr. Tyson, who runs that program, to ask if that would be an option, because I think it just depends. And I know that like that's a faculty-led program, so they would probably have to make special arrangements, so I would ask him.
Don't see any outstanding questions at this point. All caught up.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Ashlee. Thank you, Cassy, so much for your time. Definitely a very informative webinar. Studying abroad and just talking about this is always fun. Georgia Tech students really enjoy it. And as Lacey said, this will be posted to our website and our YouTube channel within the next 24 hours. If you would like a copy of this PowerPoint, please email the email address that's in the chat. And if you have any further questions, I believe Ashlee posted a email address earlier for first years. fysa@gatech.edu for any questions regarding that. And with that being said, thank you so much. Have a great day. Go Jackets.
Okay.
Thank you. Go Jackets.